First of all, you're not even the king of France. Second of all, how dare you? I literally control your food supply. What do you mean you can wait me out? I don't care that your father was emotionally unavailable for you as a child. You still can't keep Antioch. Swear it. Kiss my feet. Okay, no, not like that. It's just a sign of submission. Yet I heard it as I said it. You know, immature people like you are the reason we're in this mess in the first place. And he somehow got an oath from every single one of them. Mostly. Kinda. Once Alexios had ferried all of the Crusaders across the Bosphorus, he sent his own army along with them to retake the city of Nicaea. Situated on a lake and surrounded by thick walls, the Crusaders and Byzantines were unable to completely cut off the city's supplies until Alexios ordered the construction of several ships that blocked off the lake from the defenders. Now, Nicaea was a Byzantine Christian city, and Alexios didn't want the Crusaders sacking it like they seemed to do with everything else. So his generals worked out a scheme with the city's garrison where, in exchange for not killing them, the Turks would pretend to lose to the Byzantines and surrender to them. After securing the city without the Crusaders even really noticing, the Byzantines then shut the gates and told the Crusaders that they weren't allowed in because they'd lost sacking privileges. This made the Crusaders a little grumpy, so Alexios took them all aside again and made them reaffirm their pledge to return Byzantine territory. Mostly. Kinda. For logistical reasons, the army then split into three parts. The Byzantines, Normans, and Flemish led the advance into Anatolia, the rest of the Crusaders followed behind them, and another Byzantine army led by Alexios split off to reconquer the rest of Western Asia Minor. By the time the Christian forces got to Antioch, there wasn't much left of the Byzantine army. Since they'd been reoccupying so many cities, they'd had to leave behind a ton of garrisons, which quickly depleted their numbers. The Crusaders had also suffered some losses from battles and attrition. The Byzantine commander, Taticaeus, told the Crusaders that it would probably be a good idea to secure the surrounding countryside and wait for Alexios to come and bolster their numbers. However, the Crusaders thought that this sounded lame and figured that it would be a good plan to just surround siege, either to gather more supplies or because he thought the Crusaders were gonna kill him. It depends on which source you believe, but tomato tomato. After the Byzantines left, word reached the Crusaders that a big Turkish relief force was coming, so after making contact with a Christian inside Antioch, the Crusaders were able to sneak inside and take the city. However, once that Turkish army arrived, the Crusaders found themselves a little bit, stuck. Meanwhile, Alexios was slowly marching his army across Anatolia to help the Crusaders and occupy Antioch. But on the way, he ran into some Crusader deserters who told him that a huge Turkish army had arrived and that Antioch had probably already fallen. If this was the case, Alexios would basically be committing suicide if he just kept marching his army towards the Turkish death stack, so he turned around and went back to Constantinople. However, in the meantime, the Crusaders had beaten back the Turks somehow and occupied Antioch for themselves. They figured that since Alexios hadn't shown up to help them, their promises to return all the territory they captured didn't apply anymore, which is legally questionable, but I mean, hey, what are you gonna do? Alexios didn't find out about this until July of 1098, about a month after the Crusaders' victory. At this point, Alexios was already back in Constantinople and he had just disbanded his army, so he wasn't really in a position to waltz across Anatolia and occupy Antioch. The crusade was basically over for him. Regardless, he did send an embassy to Antioch to politely ask the Crusaders to return it, to which they replied, "Kamni nos," more like "Kamni no." No, I won't give it back.